Hey Dreamers, it's Dave Cumbo. Sorry it's been a little while since I gave you an update on the progress of my first book. Dreamside #1 is going really well, but there's been an awful lot of cleanup work that I've been doing on the artwork before the book goes to print, and I've just really not had an awful lot of time to hit up social media and make videos, so I apologize for that. I know that information has been a bit sparse, so thank you for your patience. But anyway, today I've got something kind of cool. I've been putting together a whole bunch, as you can see here on my floor here, I've got a whole bunch of art prints that I've been doing at home to sort of test the colors and how the art in general is looking on paper, because it's very different than how it looks on the screen. On the screen, colors are represented differently than on paper, and sometimes you might not notice problems that are visible in the art on paper when you're looking at your screen, and that can make it very challenging. And when you've got, 100 and I don't know what I have exactly, 130 pages or so of images, it's an awful lot of work to comb over and just make sure that it's all looking good. So what I've got here, I'm going to show you today, is Chapter 1. This is about 99% finished. That means that it incorporates everything that's going to go into it. The artwork is pretty much finished. The text is pretty much finished. And, I say 99% because I'm sure there are a few little things here that I'm still going to change. So let's go ahead and take a look at the first spread. Okay, so spread refers to the left and right sides of the image overall. So combined together, it makes a book spread. And you can see here, this is how the art was intended to be viewed. You're going to notice this with every page. This is how the art was intended to be, where it's laid out with text. And so every time that I would paint an image for Dreamside, I was always laying it out with consideration for the book first and foremost, okay? And so the videos themselves were actually less than perfect, I guess less than ideal, I should say, framing. And I'm taking images within the book and I'm trying to just figure out how to frame them effectively within the videos. But this is how they were intended to be seen originally. And over here you can see I've got an example of my big capital letter at the beginning of the chapter. Is always something I loved when illustrated books would do that. And you can see the size variation in the text. It's a really fine line between having distractingly, I guess, oriented texts that has sections that are larger and smaller, and having color variation. And it's taken a lot of testing to figure out sort of the right breakdown of modification within the text so that it's not distracting to you as a reader, and it just sort of adds to the art. It's important that the text balances with the art. It always bothers me when the art it has a certain quality that doesn't match the text, and the text feels like an afterthought. So I didn't want that to be the case. This is actually my own font that I designed for Dreamside, so I both drew it and designed the words themselves that go on the pages, so it should be fairly consistent. Here's spread number 2. So this shows you really what I'm talking about here in terms of the layout. You can see so much about the eye direction that I'm doing. There's you're supposed to move from the upper left here, go downward, and you can see how Sarah is looking there toward the block of text on the left, but her body is facing toward the right, so it drives the reader's eye. You can see also the way her head, it's covering part of the first panel, so it sort of brings our eye down to the bottom left. And then as we continue to the upper right, she's looking over to the right. You can see how the swirl of color is leaning down, I think it's obviously a different layout than what you remember from the videos. Every one of these images was separate in a separate shot. So this is how it's intended to be. And here you can see on Sarah's head really an example of where I've modified the colors pretty dramatically. I mean, the drawing is completely different, but I've pushed her hair color to magenta so that I can make it really bold. It used to be purple, pretty intensely purple there. I do change the characters' hair colors around for emotional effect. All right, spread 3. Spread 3 really starts to give you a look at what I'm talking about here in terms of the left and right page relationship. All right, because you can see how in the gutter in the middle, the art continues. It's not really cut off page by page. Those leaves and everything are connecting the two pages, and so I don't want much of that information to get lost in the gutter. So it's important for me to make sure that the book is bound in such a way that the book can lay flat and you don't end up losing too much information there. There's certain areas where I've amplified the text. Maybe I've made it a little bit bigger, or I've made it more colorful or something like that, because it's particularly important text that I really want to pop out. Here's spread number 4. This is one of my favorite illustrations in the book. This is when Sarah first meets the dream girl in her little lagoon nest. Always love that flower tree. But yeah, you can see I've really, really, really changed the art. If you look at the videos and you compare the two, it's substantially different. I've kind of gone for a bit more of a watercolor look, and the outlines overall are thicker. I've added outlines to areas that didn't have them before. But overall, yeah, you can see here with the tree man, there's just so much work that went into this chapter and this book overall. I want every image within it to just be the kind that you would see on the cover of a book, you know? You know that when you open up a comic and you see this great cover, it lures you in. You open up the comic and you see the art inside and it's not as good. It's always disappointing. So I wanted everything to be absolutely gorgeous. This dream girl image in the upper left is totally different. Sarah's different. It's all different. But you can see it's the same story, you know, the same, really the overall position of images and the layout within the pages is fairly consistent. There are some differences there. As the book advances, you'll see them. And there's actually some new pages. There's some new content that I've added that were not in the videos. You can ignore this white border here. That's a printer error. But yeah, and this is the last spread in Chapter 1. This is when Sarah gets yanked out of the dream world. Man, you can really see how I've pushed the colors so that they work well within the printed copy. And there's my curvy Dreamside. Yeah, so some text really does have some effects applied to it. So yeah, there it is. I hope that gives you a pretty good look at Chapter 1. Just a brief look. I wanted to share with you what I've been doing, and really once again apologize for the lack of information. But I promise you, it's because I've been focusing on making this book the best it can be. And make sure to follow me on Twitter. Mostly on Twitter these days. I'm very active on that, but I am on all social media. Make sure to subscribe to my blog at dmcumbo.com, and you'll be the first to be notified when the book becomes available. And thanks again for watching, and we'll see you real soon.